All right, well, today we are taking a brief reprieve from the 240D to work on the 250 gas W114. Yeah, it had a sunroof in it with a bent panel. Funny story. I got it like that. It looked like somebody had just like elbow slammed it and done whatever to it. So it was all had tape on the roof and all sorts of stuff. So we bought this car, or I bought it, and a buddy of mine and we took it on a 1,000-kilometer road trip called the Round Headlight Rally. And, we just left the tape on it, whatever. We bought this like a day before and then just did an oil change, tires, and some other small things and just drove it. So anyways, figured, maybe we could bend the panel back, whatever. And then, we crossed over the bridge into the Upper Peninsula. And then once we were driving in the Upper Peninsula, I decided to, stretch the legs. Sunroof blew right out of the sucker. It turns out it was held in with a piece of foam and like hopes and dreams. I don't know. But long story short, I guess I'm taking the sunroof out and filling it in with a panel from that guy, Red 220D. I figured out, I guess, that it's a coach installed sunroof. This isn't actually a factory Mercedes sunroof car. So the motor was up front, usually in the factory when they're in the trunk back there. Big cable runs up, stuff. Of course, it didn't work. It was bent. It was missing pieces. I had never used it. And, the car's headliner was ruined anyways from mice or something in the back. They're all falling down, and up front it had duct tape on it. I don't know, previous owner liked duct tape, I guess. But anywho, so yeah, I've cut out a piece right there, and we're gonna put that on the roof. Figured I'd take you along, watch me spend many hours sanding. I already started just trying to get the duct tape residue off with a little like eraser wheel tape deal on my cordless grinder, but it's still taking a while. But yeah, plan with that is we'll get all that off, have it nice and prepped, throw some primer down, weld through primer, and we'll throw the other panel on, do a cut and butt, bring it right in there. It should be pretty simple, and then we'll just paint the roof. Shouldn't be too terrible. Looks like an easy color to paint, and I guess I need something to help practice painting, I guess, for the 240D. That's a little less high stakes. But so yeah, let's keep on trying to get the roof prepped.
The story you are about to hear is true.
All right, we got her set up for the cut and butt. Just ground everything down underneath it, welded her down. Now we'll cut along the welds at like a 45-degree angle. Learn that technique from Fitzy's Fab or whatever his YouTube channel is, but he's a good resource for doing this kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to follow that. I've done it a couple times before. This should be fairly straightforward, I think, though. So we'll see how many death wheels we can burn through, and then we can go through and slowly weld around. So let's get to it.
Tonight's program is dedicated to Radio Officer Delmer E. Cook of the Los Angeles Police Department.
Well, things were going quite well. Laying down nice over there and halfway back over here. got to right here, and the old cordless Milwaukee has decided to let the smoke out. So I don't know, rest in peace, I guess. But I guess I should get a corded one so I can hog through stuff like this. But yeah, all right. Well, we'll figure that one out and get back to it. Okay, so we've got the cut and butt executed almost. Gotta go through and just start welding it in. I use these little magnets that kind of hold it. On this, it takes kind of a long process. Is how you want to do one over here, and way over there, there. Just kind of like a big. I mean, you don't want to like get waves in your metal because right now it's a nice even all the way around. And obviously you'll grind off your tacks when you're done, but yeah, so we're gonna get going on that. That's gonna take a bit.
Well, Costello, in a few hours, we'll be starting a new year, 1948.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
All right, it's all welded in. Been grinding on it a little bit. We'll continue to grind on it some more. Probably have to stretch it a little bit in the back, bring it up, kind of came down a little bit. But there should be a center roof support that goes across it too from the sunroof that was in there. So I don't know. We'll see. Try a few things, see if we can get it to come back up. But yeah, keep grinding.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
All right, well, we've sanded a bunch, so now I guess I'm gonna work on trying to I started out with some Bondo glass just to give it some structure since, you know, it's a roof patch in the middle of a car. I am in by no way an expert at this stuff, but just kind of trying whatever. Now I've got a plate of just normal Bondo just to kind of skim it over and fill in some of those low spots in the glass. So hopefully it's a little easier to sand with this stuff on there. That glass is a real pain to sand, but it does add some good structure, so that's why I use it. So we're gonna do that.
Romanoff and his violin.
All right, I have been sanding and sanding and sanding for days. Everything in here is just, one, slightly messy, two, covered in dust. We just walk over here, everything just looks like it got snowed on with fine powder. But this is getting there. Taking forever, so I'm trying to make it look really good, I guess, as you should. So these sides here are pretty flat. Need to do a little bit higher of a grit sanding on here. Right now it's just like rough sanding with 80, 100 grit or whatever. Still a little lip there. And then I have got this mostly filled up. There's 2 or 3. You can see a few low spots. It's kind of where it gets a little gravelly, is where my sander isn't hitting. So do a small, just skim of filler there. And then I think up front I need to sand this back down a little more. I kind of started with the fiberglass filler, then I had some old like red, I mean it's a year or 2 old, but it wasn't sanding out right. So, and then I got this stuff with a different color cream hardener. So that's why it's blue, so you kind of get that bluish to the reddish, and then below that is like a dark green, which there isn't, which is more like this stuff, or I guess gray. So where I've kind of built it up in a few spots with the blue was a little too much, so I just had to take 10 years to bring that back down. And then once we get these high spots out, we'll take like a big block sander and just do a good sand across this, and then we'll kind of like mist it with like some guide coat is what it's called, but I think you can do it with any, like, light mist to spray paint or something like that, but because then it's effectively the same thing. You go through and you sand it off, and then where there's still like paint or guide coat left over, that's where you get a low spot. Or if you immediately, whoa, easy, if you immediately sand off the guide coat in once, like here but not here, then you get a high spot. So it's just helpful in that way. I like to use my hand too, just to run across, because if you go, you can feel where it's low, where it's high. And then obviously if you look across the body line, but this is actually really good. So we're gonna keep sanding. I don't know how much of it I'll film of more sanding, because otherwise we're gonna have a 20-minute video of me just sitting there with an orbital sander and a black sander. So I'll probably bring you back when it's sanded, it's level, and then we're prepping for some primer on the roof. So let's do that. Okay, here's an update on the 250. Yeah, roof is primered. Can't even see where there was a sunroof. I've been sanding it, getting some high spots, getting rid of them and all that stuff. So yeah, it turned out really well, I thought. I mean, you just cannot tell. It's really fantastic. That high build stuff, and I haven't used it before, but pretty sweet. It sprayed some, I don't really want to touch it, but there's like some texture in it in the front, and I think there was some water getting in my hose, so I gotta get so I need to get a new dryer for my air compressor, but that's no big deal. That one on there's like 3 or 4 years old anyways, and it's a crap one from Menards, so But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think I have quite enough paint, so I just untaped it, got everything good to go. Got the paint booth here, but it should be good. And then we'll have to go through, and looks like I did a bad job taping right there, but I think that should come off with some isopropyl or just a little buff. No big deal there. Yeah, so we got a lot going on. Putting a 5.4 back in this thing. It's on the floor. Has a 4.3 right now. It's gonna have a 5.4 AMG in it. But yeah, lots going on. Told myself we'll do this first. So while I wait for paint and other things for this, and we're doing this. So yeah. Well, jump cut a few months, I guess. But last I worked on this, we were working on the roof, getting the roof filled in where there was a sunroof and stuff. As you can see, it is now painted, and it's not the only thing that's changed, but you know, we've added another shade of gray to gray. So there's probably the right color gray, there's Californian faded gray, and then there's this fender over here that is slightly lighter than that gray. As I was saying, and the airplane decided to fly over, slightly lighter gray than that gray. It's not the only thing that's changed. If we flip the lid on the hood, got to pull the latch, there are some things that are different. It now has 5 speeds and a dirty interior, but we'll worry about that later. And it also has an M104 980 in it, because, you know, the M130 decided to snap a valve in half because of the camshaft being flat on one lobe, I imagine. But yeah, here this is. Fits, runs, it drives, needs some tuning. It's actually running on K-Jet. No electro digitals going on. You know, see the control pressure regulator right there. Fuel distributor under the hat. The only computer is the EZL. That's down here, that guy. But yeah, this is the 3-liter M104. The .980 means this one's revs to like from the factory 7,800 or something. So it's quite a riot. But as you can see, it's also just jammed right in here. Alternator barely fits. Barely fits. Button heads on power steering pulley, but it fits. I think that's probably about it for this car. I got to throw a headliner in it, but it was just a brief video I was trying to film with the roof, and then I got distracted with other things, and got the 34 in here because it needs a head gasket. And we got a little red Italian guy back there. He lives here now, so maybe more on that. I don't know if people care about Italian cars, but I do. So yeah. Hopefully getting back in the swing of things now that round headlight rally's done. Get back to 240D. Cosworth's looking good over there. But yeah, that's all I got for now. We'll catch you in the next one.